that covereth, that the one that Yahweh has put there, was actually the devil. And the word God is roof or covering. In other words, he's over everything. Thou art the cherub that covereth. Right? Now, being as the devil is the supreme one over his organization, he is the prince, or he is the one that is the roof or the covering. Now, he's the prince of Rosh, Meshach, and Tubal. Now, Rosh means head, top, or beginning. Now, although the devil began the disobedience, yet he began his organization when he chose his first follower, you might say. Now, he patterned his organization after Yahweh. He is the mimic God. In other words, he says, I will be like the Most High. To mimic someone is to copy. So he copies his organization after Yahweh. Now we find that Yahweh, he is supreme, and he begins his organization with his son, Yahshua. He's the beginning of Yahweh's creation, the only begotten of the Father. Okay? So the devil chooses Rosh and puts him in the same position as Yahshua over his organization. See? All right, now he's a prince. God is a prince of Rosh, Meshach, and Tubal. Now Tubal means who is drawn by force. Well, we find in the 12th chapter of Revelation that the devil drew 1/3 of the stars out of heaven with his tail. All right. Now the tail is a symbol of the false prophet, or the ability to deceive. In other words, he deceived 1/3 of the angels. Drawn by force. Who is drawn by force? This means that they're drawn through the force of deceit, actually. The devil has drawn 1/3 of the heavenly host. Now these correspond to Yahweh's angels. But in reality, they're demons. You see? Yahweh has angels, and the devil has demons. But the pattern still holds. You still have the supreme one, you still have the first, then you have the heavenly host. Then you have Tubal. Tubal means the earth, or the world that is carried or led. This is the earthly portion of the organization. Now, in Yahweh's organization, the earth will be made up, or the ruling organization on earth will be made up of the prophets and the 200 million. See? The devil's organization will be made up of politicians on earth. So we have God, which represents the devil. Rosh is the beginning of the devil's organization. Meshach are the demons. And the earth, which is carried or led, is made up of politicians. This is the devil's organization. So he's the chief prince over the whole thing. He's the supreme one over his entire organization, both heavenly and earthly. Now, the last portion of the heavens is made up of Meshach, or the angels. The angels are just over the earth. Man is on earth. So Yahweh says, what is man that thou art mindful of him? Thou hast made him a little lower than the angels. The second chapter of Daniel, where we find that the brass, which represents the angels, rules over the earth. And it only mentions the brass as ruling over the earth because this is the one that makes contact with the earth. The others are way above that. In other words, Yahweh doesn't rule the earth directly. See? The message is carried down to the angels, and the angels bring it on earth. So these are the ones that make contact with the earth. All right, now do you get the picture of Yahweh's organization and the devil's organization?
No politician loves me. No religionist loves me. No judge. No FBI. No Internal Revenue. No, they hate me. Why? Because I bring the truth of Yahweh's word, and I preach and pronounce judgment and destruction on their organization. They don't like this. This is what brings the hatred. It's not because you're preaching the kingdom or preaching the Bible or singing songs. They don't hate you for that. They hate you for what you bring out about this world. And they're part of the world. Now, the King James Version here is a little confused. It says, I will turn thee back and leave but the sixth part of thee, which no other translation has. I'll turn to good speed this particular verse. I will turn you around and drive you on. I will bring you up from the farthest north and lead you against the mountains of Israel. Now, Yahweh knows that given the opportunity, the devil will attack his people. It's like proving to the world that a certain man is a crook. Just leave something precious out there and everybody hide and peek through the curtains and you'll see him sneaking up there and take it. It's temptation for him. He's got to take it. He can't resist it. It's bait. Yahweh's people there being safely in the mountains, having cattle and goods, no guns, no walls, no nothing. He can't resist that. And he comes up and attacks the Lord's people and begins to take their merchandise. And Yahweh, because he permits it, he says, I will lead you on. Because he brings about a situation where he knows the devil cannot resist. He says, I will cause thee to come from the north parts and will bring thee upon the mountains of Israel. And this is where it happens. He says, and I will smite the bow out of thy left hand and will cause thine arrows to fall out of thy right hand. When he comes after Israel, this is when the devil's organization will be completely disarmed and destroyed. Thou shalt fall upon the mountains of Israel, thou and all thy bands, and the people that are with thee. Now, what he means by falling upon the mountains of Israel, he falls because it is the issue with Israel that causes him to fall. If he did not attack the Lord's people, this would never have happened. But here is a righteous people who are not depending on anyone, who are not asking for any favors, taking care of themselves. Here is an unprovoked attack by the devil's organization, molesting Yahweh's people and taking their merchandise. And this causes the ire of the righteous-hearted, even in the devil's organization, to be aroused. And the devil's organization is divided. And the trouble begins. Now he says, I will give thee unto the ravenous birds of every sort, and to the beasts of the field to be devoured. Now, this means that the slaughter that takes place, like the Bible brings out, the slain of the Lord in that day will be from one end of the earth to the other. They shall not be gathered, nor lamented, nor buried. They will lay as dung upon the ground. So, another thing it also means is that they will not have a decent burial. They will not be honored in any way. They'll just lay as carcasses, as the carcasses of beasts. Thou shalt fall upon the open field, for I have spoken it, saith the Lord God. Now what he means by the open field here is where everyone can see. Everyone will know what took place, what happened. And I will send a fire on Magog, and among them that dwell carelessly in the isles, and they shall know that I am the Lord. Now Magog actually is the God's domain, or that which belongs to the devil. His organization is set on fire. Ezekiel says that I will start a fire in the midst of thee. It shall consume thee to ashes upon the earth. So the fire is a symbol of a consuming fire, a destructive force which completely annihilates these nations. And they shall know that I am the Lord. So I will make my holy name known in the midst of my people Israel, and I will not let them pollute my holy name anymore. And the heathen shall know that I am the Lord, the Holy One in Israel. In other words, at this time, Yahweh's name is fully vindicated. When Yahweh first created Adam and Eve, it was the devil who raised the issue on whether Yahweh was telling them the truth or not. When he says, you shall not eat of the fruit in the garden, when he told Adam and Eve, or the day that you eat thereof you will surely die, the devil says, you will not die. He contradicted Yahweh. He says, but you will be as angels of heaven, knowing good from evil. Now, Yahweh did not destroy the devil. He knew that men were created in his image. They were able to reason and think, and many people would think